The beginning of spring. When birds start chirping, no companies are planning any significant releases, and huge blizzards keep me unexpectedly quarantined in America's heartland on an extended vacation and away from my production studio. As unfortunate as that situation was, I did manage to make it home, as you could plainly see, and we're still getting March's monthly build in under the wire before the calendar flips over to April. So, what exactly do we have in store for this installation of our monthly build series? Well, after the release of the AMD Ryzen 3 2200G and 2400G, many tech channels set out to show you just how to build the most sensible, the cheapest, or the most well-rounded system on a budget. We saw countless HTPCs, gaming boxes under $500, and more starter systems than I can care to recall. And while that's all well and good and likely the intended use for these chips, I'm just kind of over it. What if we went in the complete opposite direction and built the most impractical, overkill APU PC we can, with an eye on how these seemingly wasteful component choices actually make the end product a whole lot better?
Looking to cool your CPU? Look no further than the Enermax LIQFusion, featuring a 240mm radiator, twin TB RGB fans, an innovative inline pump design, and an all-new block with integrated flow meter and awesome RGB LED lighting. The LIQFusion keeps your parts cool and your PC looking even cooler. Check out the link in the video description to learn more.
Obviously, we can't start an APU build without one of the new AMD Ryzen 3 CPUs with Vega graphics. So we're going to center the rest of our choices around the Ryzen 3 2400G. Although it's likely we're going to see more powerful Ryzen 5 processors in this line perhaps soon, right now this is the most powerful all-in-one solution on the market for desktops. And yes, that includes Intel products. $160 gets you 4 cores with hyper-threading, an unlocked multiplier for easy overclocking, and 11 cores of dedicated GPU gaming performance. I'm hopeful that with the rest of the choices we've made for this build, we can get some nice overclocks out of here on both the CPU and GPU side. In order to do that, we're going to be relying heavily on the motherboard. And for that, we've chosen the Gigabyte Aorus AX370 Gaming 5. This immediately is where we start to diverge from most builds, as the majority of people building with the 2400G will choose a B350 or even an A320 motherboard instead. The reasoning is definitely solid. You don't want to spend more on your board than on your CPU, and most will be happy with a mild overclock or none at all. However, the X370 chipset boards were designed for the 8-core 16-thread unlocked Ryzen 7 parts, and as such have better thermal and power delivery designs. This should allow us to reach higher CPU and GPU clock speeds. If we're going to be pushing the Ryzen 3 chip, we'll need a good way to cool it. Of course, the Wraith cooler that comes boxed with the 2400G is perfectly fine under most circumstances, but we want more cooling capacity here, and even though I can't fit this enormous box on the table, we're going to be using the new Corsair H150i Pro RGB 360mm AIO. Is this overkill? Absolutely. In fact, this is probably overkill for anything except the higher core count Skylake X chips, which can easily pull 250 watts or more all by themselves. The TDP of our 2400G is only 65 watts, so I have a feeling we'll be staying under TJ Maxx during our testing. Patriot's Viper LED DDR4 memory isn't something I've used in an AMD system build just yet. In fact, I've only used it in test builds for cases up to this point. And the white LED tops and black heat spreaders look great, but I can't really speak to performance just yet. I guess I'll find out if the 3200 MHz rated kit will actually hit those higher speeds in our build, as Ryzen chips are notoriously finicky with memory. Of course, storage isn't really going to affect our performance data here, but I still went a little overkill anyway, opting for the 1TB version of Samsung's excellent 960 EVO M.2 SSD. Consumer targeted drives don't really get much faster than this, and at 1TB not only do we have enough room for our OS, but also all the games we'll be testing as well. For power, we'll be turning back to the same manufacturer that we used last month, FSP. Their new Hydro GE line provides 80+ gold efficiency, fully modular all-black cables, and even interchangeable side stickers to match your build. This 650 watt version also only costs about $80, well below the product category average for power supplies with these features. And finally, let's build in the new Corsair Spec Omega. I reviewed the Spec 04, a more budget-oriented case, last year, and while I think the features are good for the money, the size and styling weren't really the best in my eyes. Corsair has kept all the angles intact here, but also introduced a more spacious interior based on the 460X chassis, a more subtle color scheme with LED front panel lighting, and tempered glass on both the side and the front. So we have our overkill APU system all configured. Let's see what it can do. It's always a little weird to shoot footage of a completed build without a GPU in it, and I was tempted to just throw one in there for lulz. But regardless, our system still looks pretty great with the accent lighting on the motherboard, memory LEDs, and case fan, not to mention the LEDs on the pump itself. This system doesn't have any real amount of cabling to speak of, as we didn't use a lighting controller, fancy pants fans, or even anything that needed PCIe power, while our modular power supply allowed us to only connect what was needed. As such, cable management was pretty easy, although I do wish there was a little more depth in this chassis in case we needed it in the future. There is still a good amount of room in here for future expansion, and that is one of the reasons I chose this case. If we want to pop in a GTX 1070 when prices calm down a bit, we have both the room in the case to do it, as well as the wattage headroom due to our use of a 650 watt power supply. The H150i Pro cooler enabled overclocks on both the CPU and GPU in excess of what I was able to achieve in my initial testing with the stock cooler. In this video, I demonstrated how to overclock these chips, but only was able to get 1350 MHz on the GPU side if I overclock the CPU due to total thermal limits. Although these aren't the most power hungry of processors, they're actually known to hit 90 degrees pretty easily when overclocked during stress tests. With the H150i in place, not only was I able to keep a 3.9 GHz overclock stable, but I was able to also push the Vega graphics to 1500 MHz, which both speaks to the quality and cooling capabilities of the massive 360mm unit, and also the power delivery and design of our motherboard. The VRMs and heat sinks on the Aorus AX370 Gaming 5 are better equipped to handle overclocked power draw than similar B350 boards, and as such, achieving a higher overclock was actually relatively easy. I did face a bit of a dilemma when choosing how to test March's monthly build. The 2400G isn't meant to run tests like Superposition at 1080p Extreme, and in fact when I fired it up it gave me an error message saying that I didn't have enough video memory and the results would be negatively affected as a result. However, I wanted to keep testing methodology as consistent as possible between systems that I build specifically for this monthly series, so that performance can be compared directly between them. As such, I ran the same battery of tests that all of my other machines face. While clearly the APU struggled here, I knew it would, and real-world applications for this kind of processor doesn't involve AAA gaming at ultra settings. Also, as a side note, ASUS Singularity once again refused to complete with our overclocks in place. Not the first time this has happened. At this point, I'm almost ready to get rid of it entirely. So with all that said, I hope you can see why I went in a slightly different direction for this APU build. Yes, some of these components are objectively silly, but this exercise shows us that while it's nice to keep a build made up of like parts, higher price stuff does exist for a reason, and there's certainly an argument to be made for using them, even if the centerpiece of your system is a Ryzen 3 APU. So what do you guys think of March's monthly build? Do you think it was a worthwhile experiment? Let me know down below in the comments. And don't forget to get subscribed to the channel if you are not already. As always guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.